And I'd like to announce on the Ms. Jo Greta Williams and President Joseph Charles, they were supposed to have been on the last page for 1 minute only. They're both previous. When they made the page cuts, they made a boo-boo. Go right ahead, sir.
Hello once again, everybody. It's been a few months since I've been here. My name is Nick Urbano. I'm with Responsible Urban Development for Houston. We've been the group that's been advocating for better development at Kohler and Yale for many, many months. I know that you all have seen a lot of our members here as of late. Typically, I'll come in with a well-prepared statement. I'm not really going that route today. I just have a couple of updates for you all. Last week, we had a meeting with the city hosted by Councilman Gonzalez. Thank you very much. Andy Icken from the mayor's office was there, as well as Public Works representatives. There were 4 big points that come out of the meeting that y'all need to be made aware of. The first was that the Yale Street Bridge was acknowledged as a safety risk. As some of you may have heard, Yale Street Bridge has a 40,000-pound load weight that easily is exceeded by trucks. Beyond that, with any amount of traffic that's going to come on, and you know in Houston we have traffic, there's going to be idling cars, SUVs, everything like that sitting on that. That needs to be addressed. It is a public safety issue. And the city has stated that there is really no solution for it at this point in time. And in fact, to my understanding, the burden of enforcement will pass to HPD to make sure that trucks stay off of that. I have a hard time believing that HPD is going to be able to move traffic jams off of that as well. One of the second things was, and something we've always advocated for, is there's no plan for the West End. I've taken representatives of the mayor's office around in my neighborhood. I've taken Councilman Gonzalez around in my neighborhood, and we have about 18-foot wide streets. With no plan, everything is wide open. And I can't understand how we can sit here and talk about rebuild Houston and a greater scope and a strategic growth for the city and not be able to address some of the needs of our individual and growing neighborhoods. A third and glaring problem with this is the OR development, which is a second development going on across the street, is not going to be taken into consideration. Once again, it's a strategic vision that this administration wants to push, but yet we can't consider all of these things together. And I understand that planning has to consider each individual development on its own merits. But the reality of this is this going to be a large 2 developments taking up quite a few city blocks. It all needs to be looked at together. And the last thing, what's probably most important, is the city sets rules for how a traffic impact analysis needs to be done, TIA. TIAs are required for all of these developments. The rules need to be followed. The rules of this TIA have been bent thus far. Numbers have not been accurate. We've hired our own experts and brought our experts to the city, and it's a shame that the community has to do that. Through volunteers and through donations, we've been able to pay the thousands and thousands of dollars needed just to make sure that the city is on its toes and enforcing what it should already be doing. There are problems with the way that it's been done. It's not accurate across multiple developments. My question today is, why? I mean, what are you all thinking? Why can't we get this enforced? Why is it that we have to keep coming after it?
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired.
Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Bendick.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
I'm sorry, sir.
Mr. Brennan, what do you think needs to be done at this point by the city or by Public Works?
Number one, the communication needs to be increased, and I understand that from this administration's perspective, a large amount of outreach has been done, but large-scale meetings and the smaller meetings have been appreciative, but you are aware of how many public information requests we've had to put in because we can't get answers. Some of the answers that are coming back just today from some of our requests for drainage information are stating that, you'll get it when it gets approved. With the track record that you all have put out there thus far, or Public Works has, or the administration has, or Mr. Icken has, where's the trust right now? There's none. There really is none. So communication is key. That's number one. Number two, you do have to hold everybody to the same standard, and you're not. That's clearly evidence. The I-10 and Silber development has different figures that are reported that are by the design manual that Public Works and, again, I assume Mr. Icken are not clamping down on. They're not pushing for with this development. And that is a major factor in how these numbers are reported to the city. It's inaccurate. And again, it's unfortunate that we've had to hire our own experts to point that out to you.
Have you received some of the information that you've requested through open records? I know that there was one that the city attorney asked for a legal opinion because it's proprietary information or something, and I've been asking for everything to be turned over as reasonably possible.
Right. That's concerning drainage documents, and of course we're aware of that and reviewing our options on that. But no, we've shown lapses in the timelines versus when PIRs were submitted, and we've shown places where the city has just turned documents back over and then told us we never had them, even though they were there under our PIR. Now, I understand that you all can work within your time frames and say, well, we have so many days to answer you, but come on. I mean, please, let's be realistic about this. These are people's homes. This is our community.
Mayor, the question about the open records has come up before, and I understand if there's something proprietary that maybe cannot be released, but a lot of the other information that can, I don't know who we should...
Councilmember, to the best of our knowledge, everything that is releasable, they keep it. There is a back and forth process with any developer, and when we say we will release it when we've approved it, we don't show all the iterations because it's not a final document, and we haven't approved it. And they want to sit in the room and look over the shoulder of our folks, and they want to sign off on everything that comes through. We're not trying to hide information from them, but we're also not going to, they're not going to be in the room while we go back and forth with the developer for all the drafts.
But you've told us that you intend to approve this TIA, and the numbers are not accurate. And that's true. There's no lie involved there. The numbers are not accurate. The way that they're reported are not to the design standards of Houston. So why on earth would the city approve it?
I believe that you were you conducted that meeting last week, and where everybody was in the room, and you heard the back and forth on this.
Yeah, and Public Works did respond to that, and their explanation of it was that they could account for the numbers. That in fact it was in the report, and they showed them in one of the books that they had. Of course, this was engineers talking to the group, so they would have to probably give you the actual answer to it. But the engineer that came on behalf of the group also conceded or admitted that he could not dispute the report itself, that he could draw different conclusions, and based on other cities he's worked with under different codes, he would make other policy recommendations in terms of how we should handle TIAs. But in terms of the actual report that was submitted and approved, he said that he could not dispute the validity of that report. So I don't know what answers we need to get to you from Public Works, but that's what I'm trying to get right now so that they can get whatever explanations, whether they're agreed upon or not.
All right, specifically. HCM reports, it's required in the design manual, and the only way to verify traffic counts.
Motion extenta.
HCM, sorry.
But you have it in writing? I can't extend your time. We don't have enough council members, but is this prepared by us? My understanding, you did give a request through my Citizens Assistance Office for certain information. If you have what you are requesting,
no, these are just notes.
Just to be clear, just if you could send us the questions, and then we'll get Public Works.
They're the same questions that you had last week.
Yeah, and we had the meeting, and we'll get them to you. They were explaining where they drew those numbers, and how they arrived. the challenge becomes that you have TxDOT that did some work out there. This traffic study.
It's not by the rules, folks. That's all that it comes down to.
I will say that I respectfully that you chaired that meeting. I think that, or you were there for the meeting, that this is a matter of interpretation of a set of rules, and you have one engineer saying he can understand what the other one's doing, but he just happens to disagree. We'll try to be accommodating if you have an additional request.
I'm just trying to assist the community, and my main thing was for them to get their questions in at the meeting and to try to get them answered by Public Works. They did provide some information that Public Works is following up on with the developer, that some legitimate questions that were raised as well. They talked about the bridge and other issues, but we can try to get a summary.
Yeah, and the response has been the city's going to approve it even if there are questions. It makes no sense. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay, Ms. Bendick. Ms. Catherine Bendick is not present, and the